All right. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Books, Beards, and Booze podcast. I am your co-host, Bob of TalesbyBob.com.
I am not.
He is not. Who is he?
My name's Derek, and I will be here annoying Bob with my correct writing opinions.
Basically, this does have an accompanying blog, Books, Beards, Booze at .wordpress.com. I'm on it.
That wasn't a mistake. That was a plug.
Right
at the beginning.
Where we're going to talk about various things concerning books and booze, primarily. The beards come into play in that we both have beards, and you should as well, because beards are awesome. We have a couple of features that we're going to do every week, and the first one that we're doing is we're calling it News and Booze. So typically we start out by talking about what we're drinking, which for me at the moment is actually not alcohol at all. It's Coke Zero. But there's a reason for that. Normally we will be drinking, because that's part of it, is going to get drunk while doing this. Not real drunk, but a little drunk.
It'll be the beginning of us getting drunk throughout the day.
Right.
Or night.
But I had a hell of a night last night, and I'm still a little hungover. And also, we have some out-of-town company coming, and we're all going to get drunk tonight. So it was a little early in the day to really get started. So we're going to start drinking after this. Also, we figured it's the first time we're doing this. Maybe we shouldn't get super, super drunk. First time and all. So that's what I'm drinking. Coke Zero. I believe Derek's got some Starbucks over there.
Yeah, I just finished a mocha with an extra shot of espresso, which was the best idea ever. I mean, I
never had coffee, wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, you're the worst. Also, later I will be drinking Jim Beam Black because it is my favorite regular kind of everyday drink when it comes to alcohol.
I will be drinking my go-to whiskey, which is loosely described as whiskey, but it's Heaven Hill by Heaven Hill Distilleries. It's basically grain alcohol with a spritz of whiskey for color. It's not the best tasting whiskey out there, but the price is perfect, and that it's $16 a handle, and it mixes great with Coke. So I'll be having Heaven and Zeros all night.
I'll have ice with mine.
Yeah. I actually remembered to make some ice.
Nice.
So we'll have ice this time.
Then I actually will have ice instead of...
I didn't make a lot of ice, but that's what they make Yeti cups for. Anyway, so part of News and Booze is each time we're going to bring each one of us is going to bring something relevant to the literature or liquor world, a little bit of news. So mine this week is the Future Library. I don't know, y'all may have heard of this. This was news to me. But basically what happened is this Scottish artist is what I've read, but I haven't been able to find out exactly who's doing this, because I read a news article that said one thing and the Wikipedia page said something completely different. So anyway, some artist from somewhere,
a person who exists,
has planted 1,000 trees near Oslo, Norway, and the plan is to let them grow for 100 years, and then to harvest these trees to turn into books. What books, you ask? Well, what they're doing, which I think is super cool, is they are inviting one author a year to submit a unpublished book. And if no one sees it, they take it, they lock it away in a vault, and in 100 years, 2114 to be exact, they're going to cut down these trees and use it to publish all 100 of these books. And the idea is the author is supposed to be writing towards knowing that they're writing to a future reader kind of deal. So, the 4 people that they've chosen so far, they started with Margaret Atwood, relevant to this episode. The next year they got David Mitchell, which if you recognize that name, Cloud Atlas. He wrote Cloud Atlas, yeah. All right, next name, I'm going to get this wrong. Sjon? It's Sjon. That's it. That's his name. He's from Iceland, and he's done some stuff with Bjork, however you say her name, but he's also like a novelist, and apparently his stuff's been translated into like 30 different languages. So kind of miffed I hadn't heard of him. Might have something to do with his name. Pick a easier to say name. Easier to give book recommendations if you can actually pronounce it. And then this year's is probably going to mispronounce this as well. Elif Shafak. Elif Shafak. She's a Turkish novelist and is, I suppose, like from what I read, like one of their most famous novelists. And she writes in Turkish and English. So that's what they got so far. So it sounds like A, they got a killer lineup, and B, I'm really glad that they're like getting people from all around the world, kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds really interesting, except for the fact that I will long be dead and not get to read these books. Like, so if an author that I like were picked to do this, I would be so mad.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, I did not think of that.
I honestly had not considered the fact that I'm not going to be alive when this happens. Like, I mean, in theory, science could come a long way.
Yeah.
We could be alive, but unless there's a dramatic change, we're probably not going to be alive for this.
The name of this podcast would say otherwise. I mean, let's be real.
That's a fact.
So if Patrick Rothfuss were to be picked for this and wrote something, I would be so mad.
Yeah.
Well,
let's be real. I mean, probably get to read it about the same time as the third book. They probably got George R. Martin's probably writing. Like, they probably asked him now to write the fucking 2011 or 2111 book.
No, they asked for the foreword. That was about it. Because they know better.
But they like brought up like how cool would it be if someone had started this in 1914. And, 4 years ago, we got 100 books from, like, you think they probably would have asked Hemingway. There'd have been like a Hemingway you never got. Maybe a.
I mean, they're gonna have to ask like Stephen King, right? There's
I don't know.
Way you don't.
I don't know. It seems like, and now, granted, I don't. My guess is they're going to be a little pretentious. And
he's like the most famous author alive this past 100 years.
Yeah, but he primarily writes genre fiction.
Get out of here with that.
I'm not saying that he's not deserving.
I mean, I'm the pretentious one between the two of us.
He would be my first ask, but this is I get it, but this is a European artist who's, I assume he's the one in charge of picking who they ask. And like I'm just saying they're probably going to pick literary fiction novelists. That's my guess. Now, who knows? Next year they may pick Stephen King, and that would be that would hurt my soul.
Yeah.
But I definitely think they should ask him. Who would you ask?
Like, who do I think they should ask, or who would I ask?
Who do you think is good enough that they should be asked, but you'd be okay with not actually?
Oh my god, that's the worst.
Yeah, like, they're really good, but
I don't know how to say his name, but is it Junot Diaz or Junot Diaz? I don't know how to say it, but great author.
I could see him getting asked.
Well, I mean, he's won awards. He was on he's pseudo pretentious enough to be on the.
He's still young into his career.
Yeah.
Probably my guess is that I looked at David Mitchell guy. He's only written 7 novels.
Yeah.
We'll see. Which on this list is fucking short.
I was about to say Diaz has only written 1 novel and a 2 or 3, I think 3 collections of short stories, maybe 2. I'm blanking right now.
I've just read "This Is How You Lose Her."
Yeah,
that was really good.
I read that, and I've got Drown. I still haven't read it, and I've read his novel for school. But
here's my pick: Chuck Palahniuk.
That's a good one.
I like him, but not so. I mean, he's got books now that I haven't
could have read and you
yeah,
just haven't. Yeah.
Like he's one of those. Like I never got on my way to read him, but like, oh, I found this book in a thrift store. Cool, I'll read it. I could see them picking him. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what the
what the criteria is. I mean, at this point, we have so little to go on. It could be super pretentious, or it could just be those are the ones they thought of first,
right? Or and maybe they let people approach them. Maybe.
Could be.
I don't know. And you got to think there are people that are going to be on this that aren't even born yet.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah, like there's the people who write the last 20 or so are probably not even born yet.
Oh man.
Maybe the last 40 or so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. So yeah, that was really cool. That was shout out to my friend Ryan who linked that all the way from New Zealand to me. I'm just a little sad that it took me 4 years to find out about it. Finger on the pulse.
That means it'll only take 96 years before you get to read them.
Yeah.
So I think you're not that far behind.
But you know what though? They're locked in a vault. There's always room for a heist.
I'm in.
But here's the thing. You know what's
out.
probably going to happen? If that were to happen, someone would rob them and sell them to private collectors.
Worst.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we need to make a lot of money.
That Martin Shkreli guy would, the Pharma Bro or whatever, he would probably buy one of them to go with his Wu-Tang album. Which I heard might be getting repoed. Or not repoed, but the government might be seizing it. They told him he's got come up with $7 million by Tuesday or something.
What the fuck?
Yeah, pay back. You got to pay back, the $7 million, or we're gonna start seizing stuff. And that Wu-Tang album is a seizable asset, and it's worth a lot of money. So
shit, yeah.
He's got a couple others too. I didn't realize, but he's got at least one other thing that's like that Wu-Tang album. I can't remember some other album that only he owns. But yeah, what's your little snippet of news?
My little snippet of news is not as worldly or important to a lot of people as it is as yours was, more likely than not. However, Tor.com is doing a first-time read. One of their employees is doing a first-time read of one of my favorite books of all time, which is Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. So I think they're doing a read-along thing where they write an article. I can't remember if it's twice a month or something like that, talking about their thoughts on each chapter or each chunk of the book.
If I was doing that, it would basically be, this is trash.
Okay. Yeah, because you're wrong. Which is fine.
It's not trash. Actually, I'll give it this. The first book, far and away the best book in that series.
Disagree strongly, but
I
still very...
reading the first book, I was like, you know what? I like this so far. Everyone doesn't get full-blown hyper annoying until later books. You see the seeds of how annoying everyone's going to be here, but it doesn't really start to blow up in your face until later books.
No, see, you know what? We're not getting into this. We're not getting into the weeds.
That's a discussion for another time.
That is an entire podcast of me telling you you're wrong and explaining why. And we just don't have time for that today. But I think it's interesting, and I've kind of been toying with rereading the book. I'm doing a lot of other reads and audiobooks and stuff like that, so I don't think I will. But I think I'll keep track of the reread. I mean, I've read the book 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I mean, you can at least read the articles. They may have, just refresh
picked up on something that I haven't picked up on. Or
you got to think how long it was since you read it. It'd be kind of cool to hear someone else's opinion. Oh, here's my first time.
Yeah, I just started rereading Magician Apprentice too, and that it's been so long since I've read or listened to that I just completely forgot the skill of prose that was used in the book.
I would like to reread those two. I don't think I'd reread the other two in those first 4. I would reread Magician.
That's a shame because Silverthorne's really good. I didn't like A Darkness at Sith Annan that much, but Magician as a whole, Magician Apprentice and Master, really good. Life
is short. The first 2 books warrant a reread. I just don't think the other 2 do. Not when there's so many other good books to read. And we're probably going to do something like this. Derek's probably going to do a reread of something, and we haven't feel free to throw out your book suggestions, because you definitely know what all books Derek's read. But if you have a good something that you think he should read and do a read along with, we'd love to hear it. The last thing on News and Booze is checking in. Derek, what's the news with what's Behind Stone Doors?
It's called Doors of Stone.
Doors of Stone.
This is the third book from Patrick Rothfuss. The news is it's still not done, so let's move on.
Moving on. Our next little feature is called Chat from the Eagle and Child. If you wonder why it's called that, go fuck yourself.
Look it up.
Look it up. And here's basically where we talk about what we're currently reading and what we're currently writing. We are both writers, and we like to read. So I'll start us off. What I've been writing, I'm working right now on my second fantasy novel. It's called Blightborn. It's the sequel to Battleborn, which I wrote last year. And I'm about almost 50,000 words into it right now. But I just wrote a chapter that wrapped up a siege is a little bit of a stretch, kind of, but it was kind of a siege. And y'all don't know this about me yet, but this will be becoming a recurring theme. I fucking love sieges. Fucking love them.
So if you know of any books that are literally just sieges, make sure to suggest those for him.
Oh yeah. If you throw out Legend, read it like 8 times. It's amazing. Anything like Legend, I would fucking love.
You drop. So okay, just.
And
life's short, Bob. You can't just reread the same book 8 times.
No. Oh, check yourself. Check yourself. They don't call it the David Gemmell Fantasy Award for nothing. I think that's what it's called. But he's got an award named after him.
Does he have a con?
Well, he's dead, so.
Well, so is Robert Jordan. He has a con.
I don't know. He's British. If he would, he wouldn't be here. So David.
Now I'm curious. Maybe. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but any book with a siege. Well, anyway, so I got a chance to write a tiny little siege type thing. It's set in a city, and basically some guys are holed up in a tower, surrounded by an angry mob. So got to write that. So that was fun. I had kind of been stalling out a little bit on my writing on this, I don't know, just the words weren't flowing. And then I got to this chapter, and I cranked out like 2,200 words, just like that, more or less. So that was cool. Excited for where it's going. For those of you doing Camp NaNoWriMo, which I highly recommend, my plan is to finish this book up for Camp NaNoWriMo, which is in April. What you working on?
I'm working on a novel idea that I've been working with for a few years. I've struggled for the past handful of years with whether or not I'm going to write. I've done a lot of research, and I've gotten a degree in literature, and I overthink everything, so it's really hard to get out of my own way and just write. And I don't have a good method, or what am I looking for?
You don't have a habit.
It's not even necessarily the habit of it. I haven't figured out my approach. I don't know how to go about write. I don't know if I plan it out. Do I want to discovery write it?
Oh,
so I'm kind of having problems.
Are you going to pants it or?
Yeah, and I think I've discovered the most recent idea, which we actually haven't talked about, is I was talking to my friend Chase, and he suggested, because I told him about how I did the prologue and how the second time I wrote the prologue it was so much easier. He's like, well, if you don't know, if you need to, try just plotting out the story, but doing it in a stage play kind of way, so that I know everything that's happening, and then I can work how to write it from there.
Yeah.
Because once I know what's happening, it makes it so much easier for me to know how to approach the actual.
Oh, hey,
writing.
there's a knock on the door. So let's pause this for a second. Hey, okay, and we're back. They're going to politely wait out on the porch because I'm that asshole.
Well, that right there would have been where we put our Audible sponsorship when it comes through.
Oh, so, yeah, just because we're going to get one of those.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've read a little bit of. I've read your prologue, so I'm excited to see where it goes. I know I'm out of sorts.
Well, I'll talk about what I've been reading.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
After, we'll kind of discuss what we're reading, and then obviously we'll talk about that after we've been talking about what we're writing. But I've been reading a lot of different things. I just finished. Let me rephrase that. I just gave up on a series, and that was a bit of a disappointment, and it's probably something that we'll discuss on a future episode.
Malazan.
Yeah.
Well, I could do 30 minutes on how Malazan disappointed me.
Yeah, I think we might have to do that. That actually might be a fun full episode.
That could be a bonus episode.
Yeah, I don't really care. We'll do whatever. Yeah. But anyways, I've moved on from that, and I've started Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison.
Great book.
It's good. It's pretty good. I'm only like 100 pages in, so I'm still not sure. I've been enjoying it. I have a problem where I can't just enjoy good. I always expect great. And I'm trying to be like, you know what? It's good. Like, just stop overanalyzing and enjoy the story. So
yeah, I've read Goblin Emperor. It hits a lot of my like top buttons, like things I just really like about books. So it was to me it was great. But I'm a big fan of Fantasy of Manners, and it's one of the few Fantasy of Manners books out there.
I will say that I've read 100 pages. There's not been a single action or at all. It's just people talking, and I've not been bored at all.
Yeah. I mean, there is no real action.
Yeah, and you know how I was complaining about the way the speech is, because it's a little old timey, a little bit. I don't know how to describe it exactly. But I've kind of gotten past that pretty quick. Yeah. Like, once you realize that it's happening, it was just jarring to start the book.
I think what they were going for was they were trying to sound very formal.
Yeah,
she was trying to sound.
I don't know. I just got past it pretty quick, so it wasn't as big a hang up as I was expecting it might be.
That is a book I'm going to reread soon, probably. So, but you're 100 words in.
Yeah, 100 pages in. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. I just finished 3 Seconds of Explosion, I think. I can't remember the exact name, but it's the most recent short story collection by China Miéville. China Miéville is either fucking amazing or I'm just gonna say it, like, I'm a smart guy, like, been to grad school, like, you know, I'm smart, god damn it. I'm not smart enough for him. like some of his shit is just and like part of it, like I can talk about China Miéville at length at some other point. Anyway, this collection, it was good. It was not as good as what was it, Searching for Jake, which was the previous collection. That one was one of my favorite short story collections ever. This one had some really great stories, but by and large, a lot of stories just kind of left me kind of lacking. I'll be doing a more in-depth review on it later on the blog. What I am reading right now is Annihilation, the movie. I saw the movie yesterday, really enjoyed it. No spoilers, really enjoyed it. And I was like, you know what? I like Jeff Vandermeer. I'd never read any novels by him, but I've read like short fiction by him, some of his steampunk stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Cool. I want to go give this book a try. I saw the movie for $4.30. The book cost me $14, and I am almost done with it. And I bought it yesterday, and have basically read on it for like an hour and a half, and I'm almost done with it. I feel like I got ripped off on the price. Like, I don't know if it was always $14. Or if they upped the price because they knew it was being made into a movie.
Have you considered reading slower?
No. But it's good. It's a good book. Right now, I actually like the movie more than the book, but they are two very different things. I think I'm going to start doing that. Like, I've always read the book first, then seen the movie.
I stopped doing that.
And I think it works so much better. See the movie, and then read the book, and it's easier to view them as two separate things.
Yeah, it's why haven't.
They are very different.
There's something coming up that it's made after a book, and I haven't read the book, and I'm waiting until I see the. God, I can't remember what it was, but anyways.
Yeah, no.
That's the thing I've been trying to do for the past 10 years, is just stop that.
Annihilation is good. I am enjoying it. It's very different from the movie. It's he's doing a real good job building suspense.
Mm-hmm.
So, really enjoying that. So, that's really what I've been reading here of late. I don't know what I'm going to read next. I haven't picked that out yet. Oh, I just bought a bunch of trades, like comic trades. So I'm gonna read those. Neil BTA. Yeah.
Neil BTA.
When our guests showed up, I had a package on the front porch that had volume 5 of Nailbiter, and he just looked at it like, "Oh, Nail BTA." Like, that's Nailbiter, but yeah. But that came in the mail, and also Nimona by Noelle Stevenson.
Oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, apparently she did this as like a webcomic kind of deal, but you can pick it up. Yeah, but it won the national. It was a finalist in the National Book Award.
I like the art style.
Yeah, it's real cool. Like I'm looking. It's fantasy. I'm looking for. It's apparently it's like the bad guy teams up with a shape-shifting thief to show the hypocrisy of the good guys or something like that. It sounds really cool.
That could be fun.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Nailbiter's about a serial killer, so it's great. I love all things serial killer.
Because he is one.
No. You got anything else you want to talk about reading or writing?
No, not really.
All right. So on the blog every week we do a thing called Short Story Tall Glass, where we pick a story that we have found that you can read for free online. Always a short story, and we pair it with a drink. And this week we did First Lives Club: Pretend Blood by Margaret Atwood. Basically, we knew that she was in the news article I had. We're like, let's go find a short story by her. So paired up nicely. So start us off. I'm going to give you a little history about Margaret Atwood. So if you Google her, you know what pops up?
No.
Well, first off, she's Canadian. Didn't know that. But pops up Canadian poet on Google.
Really?
Yeah. And I think here's why. Here's what she's written. I'll start. She's written 1 graphic novel, 8 kids books, 8 short story collections, 10 nonfiction books, 16 novels, and 17 books of poetry.
What the hell are we doing with our lives?
Well, she's also 78.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And this is her job.
Fair.
But yeah, so I think it's just because she's written more books of poetry.
Yeah.
But she's not known for her poetry.
I didn't think so, because I didn't even know.
Some people may, but
yeah.
A lot of those were done by small press, early in her career.
Yeah.
She came out with 6 in 2 years.
Jeez.
Early in her career. But here's what else I learned about her. She basically was a professor for decades. Cool fact. Sorry. She was the Master of Fine Arts honorary chair for the University of Alabama in 1985, the year I was born. Roll Tide! Woo!
Oh, she should have picked a better university.
You can go fuck yourself.
How the hell does a Canadian get all the way down here and choose such
she
a
has
terrible,
30 honorary degrees. From fucking every... It's unreal. But she was a professor forever. Get this.
It's going to make what I have to say about this story really awkward.
She literally wrote the book on the guide to Canadian literature. It's a book called Survival, A Thematic Guide to Canadian Literature. And while apparently it's considered outdated in Canada, literally anywhere else in the world, if you take a Canadian studies class, that's the book they use. She's...
What differentiates Canadian literature
apparently
from...
an emphasis on survival.
Okay, I see that.
Is a running theme. But other shit too, I'm sure.
Well, that makes sense. The one novel of hers that I've read was Orcs and Crake, and that definitely has a survival element to it.
So here's what she's most known for. One is The Handmaid's Tale. Obviously got made into fucking... what was it, HBO, I think?
I should watch that at some point.
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah.
The Blind Assassin, which won a ton of awards, came out 2003 or 4 or something like that. And then the Mad Adam trilogy, of which...
Orcs and Crake?
Yes, is the first.
Right.
And there's 2 others, and that won those won a lot of awards as well. But kind of the things about her is she does not claim to write science fiction. She says she writes speculative fiction. Yeah. She gets a little miffed if you call it sci-fi because she's like, there aren't any fucking Martians in my books. So she says like everything she writes could actually like happen. Yeah. Like realistically.
You trying to say Martians couldn't happen, Bob?
Well, you know.
I mean,
she has a really complex. Like a lot of people really view her work for like the feminism in it. She has a very complex relationship with feminism. She does not describe herself as a feminist. Mm-hmm. And doesn't really like it when people refer to her works as feminist works. Yeah. Not because she's against feminism,
obviously,
but basically it's because I think she said like feminism is just realism.
Yeah,
I think. And the other thing is she's like whenever anyone says they're a feminist, she's like you don't know where they're coming at you with that, and you always have to ask that. So she's super calm.
So she's just like nope.
Yeah, doesn't really want to have anything to do with it. Last thing. She invented the long pen, which is a method by which you can use a tablet, write on the tablet, and someplace else it actually uses a pen to write it. So you can do book signings without being there. She got all the patents. She came up with this, owns a ton of patents, came up with a company, and this is what this company does, is the long pen.
So she basically made the things that they use in that Brandon Sanderson book.
Yes.
That's awesome. I can't remember the name of those. Anyways, but that's...
But yeah, so I thought that was super cool. So that's a little bit about Margaret Atwood. Probably talked more about her than I really have to say about this story. First off, we're each going to bring a fact to the table in some way related to the story. Now, we're going to go all in on the story. Spoiler warning. If you haven't read it, stop what you're doing. Go read the story. It's super
fairly short. Yeah.
Yeah. Come back and then hear us out. But here's my fact. First off, I had no idea who George Henry Lewes and Marianne Evans were.
Yeah.
So I looked that up. You know who they were? Lewes was a dude that did some things. Nothing super important. He was just kind of like a smart guy that was around back in the day. Uh-huh. But he lived with and was like soulmates with Marianne Evans, who is better known as George Eliot, who wrote Silas Marner and Middlemarch. She wrote them under an assumed name. A male assumed name, so it would actually get published. But yeah, so that's my fact. Like, so when you're reading that, you're like, who the fuck are these people? Well, George Henry Lewes is a smart guy. And she's a smarter woman.
Okay, well, my fact is completely irrelevant other than the fact that the story is based on the idea of people having past lives. And I'm going to go into left field on this one. And currently, well, let's preface this with, I'm a very big professional wrestling fan.
This is not going to be a professional wrestling
No, it is not. And I will probably never have an excuse to mention this again. However, there is a wrestler named Matt Hardy who has a gimmick or a personality in which he is called Broken Matt Hardy, where his character has gone insane and is now convinced that he has lived a ton of past lives and tells people about all their different past lives, which I think is hilarious because he talks about, like, I don't know, playing with Beethoven and all this other nonsense. And he does it in a fancy, ridiculous, nonsensical, does not actually exist accent, which makes it even better.
Nice.
Yeah, that's mine.
Nice. All right, so I really like the story. It's funny.
You thought it was funny?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
How did you think it was funny?
I thought this was fucking hilarious.
I thought it was...
Okay. All right, here's my... All right, first off, I'm going to preface all this to say, here's my problem with this story. Uh-huh. And I'm not sure it's a problem. It's just... My biggest issue is this woman goes from being highly down on the idea to...
All in
a short amount of time. And I
think it's a short amount of words because
a short amount of words, and I would have liked to seen a more gradual. Like it starts out like a gradual thing, and then it kind of goes from like, oh, she's like, if 1 is I don't believe in this shit at all, and 10 is where she ends up at.
Yeah.
She goes from like 1, 2, 3,
7.
Yeah, like 7, 8. Like so, and like it's not like part of it's just it's a short story. You know, you don't have that many words to throw at it, and I don't know that we would have necessarily gained much from that. That's my only real quibble with it.
Well, see,
it's a quibble more than a problem.
I have to say that I don't think I agree with you entirely, because part of my literally my favorite thing, we're going to do a favorite line, but I didn't have a line. Right. I had a favorite element.
Oh, I got a favorite line.
My favorite element was the fact that I felt like she did that pretty well, because you just have to but it's subtle. It's only in her word selection throughout the course of the short story. I will say this, when I did my second read through on it, I thought it was better because when I reading that final the final bit where she actually pushes the chick down the stairs, she puts in a line, I can't remember the exact line, but she puts in a line in there that's like, it shows that this woman is not 100%, like she does like oh, do I really feel this kind of deal? But then like the next line, she's like in tears because her not real boyfriend died. Also, quick observation, I've always thought that Jimmy Choos was the dumbest name for shoes. Like, I always felt like the guy who started the company probably has a speech impediment. Like, or his name is Jimmy Choo.
Maybe, but man, change your name. I've always hated that name. I've always hated that name. Don't get into shoe design. Design pants. Jimmy Choo's pants.
No, it's practically a pun. You should like it.
I hate it. Also, here's another thing. Like, after a certain point, any money you spend on shoes is fucking stupid.
Well, look, like, that's because you're stepping. No. We're going into a whole other. We get it. We get it. You don't like Jimmy Choos. We got it.
Right. Okay. Don't like Jimmy Choos. Favorite line?
Mine was just purely the transition. I thought it was.
Mine was. I feel terrible about that whole beheading thing.
That was the only one I almost...
I loved that line.
No, my favorite was that whole section.
Block,
where there was like they
were suddenly messaging her.
Yeah, being like, "Oh, I'm concerned. Like, were you really plotting on me? I felt terrible about or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, these are pretty great."
2 questions. What?
Actually, no, I did have I don't remember the precise line, but it was the thing that I enjoyed the most. I think was. There's a part in it where she's talking about the men that she's dating, that she meets on the site, and the last part where it talks about...
she got drinks in the lava bar and then
almost raped. Yeah. That was my favorite part because I know what they were talking about. I was like, right, because the guy actually supposedly raped her in real life in the past. So that was one of those things where when you're reading it, if you know who the people are and you think about it,
I knew in general sense who all these people were.
Yeah, you kind of, but if you
kind of the broad strokes.
Yeah, so you can see it and like, oh, these people are literally living out exactly the same lives in the past. So she should have known that was going to happen. Yeah. That's really rough, but I thought that was brilliant. I thought it was really cool.
So I have 2 questions for you. Mm-hmm. One, Sal. Do you think Sal actually believed this stuff? I think
she
the main character was all in.
I don't know. I feel like Sal probably didn't at first, kind of did, and then just went crazy when her mind fractured enough for her to start believing it. She just went nuts, kind of lost the stability, and then just went off the deep end and just kind of.
I'm talking about the friend.
Yeah, so I know. Okay, yeah. But that's why she's kind of.
The vibe I kind of got was she was just, it was a means to an end. That she was a gold digger. You probably. To an end.
That's the. So, okay, fair enough.
That's just kind of there's not. I can't really point to anything, but
I get you.
Because she's the one who keeps bringing up it's just a game.
Yeah. By the end,
and it's like, no, it ain't a game. Here's my other question: who were you in a past life, D?
Oh, no one. I mean, I'm not important enough to have lived before. Either that, or I'll come up with some author later that I really liked. But I haven't done enough research on them. I'll say something.
I'm going to say Hemingway. Love to drink, love to write. Not overly descriptive. Yeah, Hemingway.
That would explain why I hate you.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, except for I don't want to get into Hemingway.
Yeah,
but
that's topic for another day.
I did have a question that I wanted to ask you, and I've completely blanked on what it was now. It's really disappointing to me. I should have written it down.
Well, we can.
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
So the drink recipe, for those, if you haven't seen it, it's a Mary Queen of Scots. It is, you are supposed to use a very specific, you use Dewar's 12-year-old The Ancestor blended Scotch whiskey, 1.5 ounces, 3/4 ounce of green chartreuse liqueur, and 3/4 ounce of Drambuie liqueur. Shake it all together. Garnish it with a maraschino cherry and a sugar rim. It's supposed to be sweet but herbal, serious and strong. So, you remember your question?
Yeah. I was going to ask, when we talked about this before I had read it, you said you didn't see the ending coming.
No, I didn't see her shoving that bitch downstairs.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see that coming.
I completely saw that coming.
Oh,
That's
why
why
I didn't see that. I loved that. Like as it said. Oh, there's stairs. Oh, that's
Yeah.
but like, if you told me at the start that this was going to be a murder,
Yeah.
this is going to end with a murder, I would not have guessed that.
So,
but I do love I love that last paragraph when it's like,
Yeah.
well, they end up like, I've always had a thing for you.
Oh yeah, because
you know?
they're nuts.
Yeah.
I thought as soon as they mentioned Scotland, I was like, oh, she's gonna go there and it's gonna she's gonna kill her for some. Especially once they said that she had changed, like she wasn't Cleopatra anymore. Yeah. And I was like, oh no, she gone.
Yeah. That's the thing. Is like also is like part of the reason why I think she was just in it.
Oh yeah.
Is for not really in it is because I think she was if he had died, if she had murdered him, which I kind of suspect that maybe
I think she did.
Then she would have found some other rich dude,
which is what she did,
and tailor-made a fantasy to fit who he thought he was.
That makes sense.
So,
actually, looking back, she definitely didn't believe in it because that's what she did the first time. She just found a guy, tailored her fantasy to him. He was older than her and he had money. She was not going anywhere fast, so and then
not to sound terrible, but she's clearly described as unattractive to start with, and so this is her way. Typically you think rich guys tend to go for hot chicks, for not always, but it's somewhat of a thing.
Yeah,
and this is how she can get an in how she gets an advantage that she didn't have before.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah, I enjoyed it though.
Oh, I love this story.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
It was great. Fucking loved it.
That's a thing that will, over the course of this, I think it'll become obvious that I don't read a lot of short fiction, and I'm not a huge fan of it in general. So this is kind of an education for me because I don't really know how to.
And I used to write a lot of short fiction, and I read a ton of short fiction. I have bookshelves of short story collections. So, and probably the biggest influence on me as a writer early on was H.P. Lovecraft, who only wrote short fiction. So, and my favorite thing, and my other was Stephen King, and my favorite thing Stephen King ever wrote were his short story collections. So, not necessarily the best thing he ever wrote, but my favorite.
Yeah.
Hey, you got anything else you want to add on it?
No, I just thought it was really good.
Great, yeah.
Well, I did want to say, so I have a bit of snobbery when it comes to prose itself. Like, I like it when you put some real effort and thought into word choices and stuff like that.
You feel like she did that here?
No, I feel like she didn't. Not really. There was nothing.
I feel like she put more work, not necessarily in the prose, but in tying all the historical knots together.
Which I think was fantastic. Yeah. But like I said, it was a small thing, but it's especially with short stories because it generally comes. When I think of short stories, I generally think of literary opposed to genre. So I'm going to probably look at that a little bit more each time we read a short story, just because from the background that I have a degree in English. I expect that to some extent. So I kind of kept an eye out. Not to say it was bad, and I hesitate to use the term workmanlike because it's definitely not. It's not necessarily that, but it's very straightforward. And,
Hemingway-esque.
I don't want to get into that.
But no, okay, I can see what you're saying.
That was the only other thing. I thought the concept was interesting. I thought there was layers of it. I thought the Earl of Bothwell thing was really interesting. And I thought it was a very easy read. Yeah, sometimes you get short stories that they're a slog.
Yeah,
a lot of information. No, this was pretty light and pretty airy to read.
All right, well, cool. All right, that's Short Story Tall Glass. Let's move on to our last segment, Book Battle. Every episode, we are going to ask a question and each bring our answer to the table. And feel free to suggest questions you'd like to hear us ask and address.
Give us your answers, too, if you have answers.
We definitely want to hear your answers.
Definitely want to hear that.
Especially on this topic.
Oh, yeah. This topic was really difficult for me, so I don't have a great answer. So if someone else has suggestions...
I had to answer that. All right, here's the question. What book does not get the love it deserves. And what we mean by that is it's a book that you yourself love, you think it's amazing, but you never see it on anybody's like top 10 list, top 100 best books of this genre. You never hear people talking about it. Like, no one ever seems to have read it. Like, you kind of feel like you might even be the only person that has, because no one ever talks about it, and it doesn't make any sense to you because it's so great. So, I'm calling this one.
Well, let me ask you this: do you want me to go first since my answer's gonna be shorter? And then you can
sure.
Go
ahead.
Okay, so I couldn't think of anything here for a while, but I ended up remembering one just now, and I'm looking up the exact name because I don't want to get it wrong. But it's the second book from the Magic of Recluse. The Towers of Sunset. The Towers of the Sunset. See, I knew I was going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
By L.E. Modset Jr. I love that book.
And I'll say this. Recluse never really gets mentioned.
It doesn't, and I like it. There are parts about it that I don't like, because I do think that the writing itself, from what I recall, which, again, with Magician, I could be remembering it wrong, isn't superb.
Yeah.
But the story itself, especially in the second one, love it. It's just... Kreslin is one of my favorite characters.
Having read Magic of Recluse, that's the only one I've read.
Yeah.
And I've read it in the past few years. It was fine.
It's fine, but I mean, I don't want to say it's bad, but that's my answer. But the only other thing I would say was, it's not mentioned in like the top 10 fantasies, but when you get to like top 50, maybe top 100 for sure, Assassin's Apprentice it'll make it in like the 100 a lot of times, but it won't make it into the 10 or 20.
I've seen the Recluse series. I have seen that pop up on like a 100 list.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it pop up on anything shorter than that
at
all.
But,
and even it's always low.
Yeah, but Assassin's Apprentice, it'll show up somewhere.
That series does not get love. For a series that's clearly popular, because there's like 20 fucking books in that series.
But with that one though, that's the answer to, I think the Towers of the Sunset is my answer. What people won't know at all for the most part, I would imagine. Yeah. However, Assassin's Apprentice is by far my favorite book that gets love, but I don't think people appreciate it as much as it should be. Even though it's one of her most famous
you know
books,
why?
I don't care.
You know why I think that's the case? First person. People who read fantasy don't typically read first person. I think that's probably...
Well, see, that's not entirely sure, because Wise Man's Fear and Name of the Wind are both first person in most part.
Well, they're just better books.
That's because they're quite possibly the greatest thing I've ever read. But
they are probably the best written fantasy novels.
Oh, no. There's no... Okay, we'll get into that later, but...
all right, me. This was so close. Like, I went back and forth.
I want to read both of these, by the way.
I've gone back and forth on this, and I'll tell you why. All right, so... my winner is a book called Talion Revenant by Michael Stackpole. Michael Stackpole is probably probably my hero. Like, him and Brandon Sanderson are my author heroes. Like, they don't necessarily write the best stuff I've ever read, but they are
so prolific.
So prolific. Like, Stackpole writes like 5,000 words a day, like routinely. You know? But he does a lot of contract work. You know, like he writes Mech Warrior book. Anyway, that Talion Revenant,
a lot of Star Wars back in the day.
Talion Revenant is one of his standalone fantasy novels. It's amazing. It's got so many of the things I love about books. It's got a school setting. Mm-hmm. It's got a yes. Oh, yeah. It flashback. Like, it jumps through time. Like, half the book is told in flashback in the school setting, and then it's got political intrigue, which is amazing.
Roving badass, isn't that the one where? Isn't that the one where they're like the guy?
Yeah, he's like a roving badass, which is great. But he's tracking down a like assembled team of villains kind of deal. Like, oh, it's so great. It's so great. Talion Revenant.
Is he like a one-man army that like picks them off, like kills one? I don't
want to go. I don't want to go into.
I don't want to read this now.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And finally, Stackpole has written a sequel. Or he
was going to. I know. Did he actually write it?
It's because of ebooks. I think he's doing an ebook version. Like, he said if he could get like. I don't know if he did a Kickstarter or something. If he could get like 5,000 people to agree to buy it or something like that, he would write it. You know, amazing. My second. Now this one was really close.
Was this
Clive Barker's The Thief of Always? And the reason Talion wins out is because Clive Barker is much better known than fucking Michael Stackpole. He just is. I mean, Clive Barker. But this is like you never hear it crop up when people are talking about Clive Barker stuff.
Yeah.
Never mention that. It's not a kid's book at all, but it's It's just really good. It's really solid. I would let teens read it. Like it's a very simple to read kind of book.
Yeah.
But it's just so amazing. It's beautifully crafted. And no one ever gives it any love.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of it.
I've got it on my
Which is
shelf
weird.
right now.
Even as long as we've known each other, you've never mentioned it to me. Which was one of the things that kind of I was like, really?
Yeah. Oh, it's for real. Like it's the real deal. So yeah, want to hear your options so that we can track these down and go read them. So final thing, and you got anything else?
No.
All right. So final thing we're going to close on. We tried to do a little web series a while back that we were calling 7 Words with Bob and Derek. And the reason why is there is a famous story about, who wrote Ulysses? Who wrote The Dubliners?
I don't know the story. I don't even know why. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. James Joyce.
Okay.
James Joyce.
My reason is different than this.
Like super, like was pained. He was like, his buddy came into the room and like, James Joyce is like pained. Yeah.
Right.
And his buddy's like, well, dude, like what's wrong? He's like, I wrote 7 whole words today. And buddy's like, James, for you, that's great. Like 7 words. He's like, yes, but I haven't figured out the order. And that's what I imagine it's like to be Derek in writing.
Yeah.
So that's why we called it that.
Well,
and
my favorite thing is Patrick Rothfuss, 7 words that make a woman fall in love with a man. So that was one of my favorite things.
Okay, well, it's got 2 meanings then.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're going to end every episode with a writing prompt. If you would like to, you're a writer, you want to do something, we're going to do a 7-word writing prompt brought to you by Derek. So what do we got this week?
And I'm going to try and tie it to the thing that we've read.
Okay.
So the 7-word prompt this week is write a story about your biggest lie.
Ooh.
Yeah, because
I love an untrusting narrator.
Yeah, in our short story, Sal's clearly lying about a lot of things.
Well, obviously she can't be Cleopatra because I'm Cleopatra.
Obviously,
so, yeah.
Right? Because you're the hottest woman ever.
I have very Egyptian cast to my features.
Okay. But no, I think it's really interesting to like kind of write a story about your biggest lie. Because think right now, don't tell me what it is because I don't want to know. But think about your biggest lie.
Yeah.
Think about the story behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so our final thing that we're going to say is as we end this first episode in the books, hopefully, haven't listened to it yet. Hopefully sound quality's decent. First time we've ever done this. So could be shit. We don't know.
Yep.
We'll find out. Really don't want to have to re-record this. So get it right the first time or shut the fuck up.
I'll get drunk, do it again.
Right. So anyway, what we're going to leave you with is go forth and grow a great beard.
Yes.